Yeah, man. Greetings, everybody. I think Rice did a good job, invoking the presence of the Creator in our midst, and I think that's something that we tend to overlook, from time to time, maybe more often than not. Yeah, and it's good to have you around and to bring us back into that focus, that in as much as we attempt to do as much as we can do as mere mortals, we we have to acknowledge that there is a greater force at work, and with time, in his time, everything will be as it should be. So I will leave to the other brothers to make the introduction.
Yeah, greetings, everybody. Good night. It's been a little while. I didn't know, man, I have a little work to do. Man, I have to stay focused. I have to find a balance, but it's good to be there with the boys. When the Maggie say iron sharpening iron. Tighten up on the vibe, tighten up on the facts. You know what's real and what's fake. Educating each other. Putting ourselves in gear. Because the way it look like we have some rocky road ahead, and if you don't catch ourselves and they make it catch us. Some of the surprise go shock some of us. Even some of the people that clapping and they clapping on. That charge themselves if they're ready to go where you see we heading. So find out find out where we see we heading, important for us to do as a whole, as a people, and then understand within ourselves if we're willing to take it, if it's worth it to go down them kind of road there, because as them wicked people that talk about their pie in the sky, they follow that, and then they give you a pie in the sky to hope on and pray on. But nothing all that, is just getting ready, for whatever. I mean, it's very distasteful what has happened in the last parliament meeting. But I know Jared all broke me seriously, because if you look at the people, passing through the villages and people are saying, well, police just let them go, and I trying to understand. Like, nobody in the police station and the government or in the whole system don't feel in shame. Because it's elderly people alone, lock up elderly people, the camera show it, big slap in face. The police and that get mad too. Like, the scene just off balance, Time for us to catch the balance back, With people, we cannot make people we put in authority tell us like they have authority and what they say goes. I still hear people telling me, the judge tell them, you have a case now, so you can go around the political gathering and thing, and you go up for. Hey, like, I trying to understand. Is that real? If I really live in a sitcom, because just a couple months back we were watching it happening in America, but we were applauding. When you take in the system to don't press your political opponent will not agree with you. So the system on your side. So we have a government running, and we have the police on their side, and you have the parliament on their side, and what they say goes. And if nobody wookly that way.
So let me ask you a mistake. What is the better of two evils? If you have to choose the lesser of two evils, which will you?
Well, I don't think there's two evil things, but you see, my thing is no evil. No evil. But people have to have a right to express their opinion. That is one thing that we are not to make that nobody can take that away. We live in a democratic country. I mean, I in systematical terms here, because right now they're saying about one thing. In a democratic country, so you express yourself. I do like this, I do like that. That's not good. That not serving me. You can say it, and then in the democratic country, the whole we come together and we say, the eyes have it and the knees on the side, despite of what we choose. But we have to have a choice. You cannot do everybody's eyes right, and everybody has to go eyes right. Like eyes right, but you see, we're getting constant tests. Constant tests. Getting tests like Pastor years, I don't know. When we look in religious, we like to go to Bible days and Solomon days and things, but it's happening all the time, For the past 10 years, the contested because I was just coming to explain to us that it just happened in America, despite of whoever it is. When a country can use, the system, and when I say system, I mean like the legislative part of the system, where as to are supposed to be there to set things straight and right between man and man, and the system choose a side. They not to always remain neutral, and the system choose a side. But it doesn't happen in America. But as I've been in life, I've seen not uploading, but I always know, I think always bad when those dots them. But look, we see the same thing happening in America happening here now, because that last display of the government authority in Dominica, that is exactly what was happening in America a few months back. And depending on people agree with me.
But you see, that to me is the fundamental question. As old as time, as old as the slave ship. Ask your question earlier, what is the better of two evils?
No.
To me, to serve either master, come into the same thing. If we have to live under laws and we cannot create those laws, we have no influence over the creation of those laws. What makes us free then? Because
So it's just an illusion.
Exactly.
It's just an illusion, And we are willing to partake in an illusion. That's right now, telling people to open their eyes and see the reality of what we're living in, Because everything rigged against the people. And it's a strange thing for you to argue to put somebody in authority and power for them to don't trouble you and this. You don't have it on. Because you see the main thing in election in my mind, it might not be in everybody's mind, but is we come and we lift a set up. So all of us take our energy and we push a set up. So they can go up there and tie a rope, something, send a swing down. So they can climb up. You check? So like collectively we take a set and we push up to help us up. But you mad man, they were kicking us down. Where the people be, where they come out. Something wrong with the people there, and there's something wrong with us for accepting this nonsense there. But I myself, I just stop playing the game, I stop accept. I try to be in myself, I trying to make sure I go for things that are real. But one thing that is for sure, I witness, I didn't go wrong. I look at the bus drivers when they had their protests. I stay back, so I was carefully. The bus drivers holding their hand, the power to shut down our country. And they don't have to go and send no stone. Or they don't have to go and talk to nobody, All they have to do is stay home. And the people that want them to work, they have to come to them, but they choose their way. Anyway, the system for like whatever it is, and they appease the bus drivers and that die. The truckers on the other hand did something. The truckers on the other hand, they did something. It was spontaneous. It was nice. But the reason for the protest was still a selfish one. Because as soon as the truckers got what they want, what they do? They go home. No, we had another selfish one the other day, Because the reason for the protest was that one there was now the politicians, just so. I was just to watch it carefully, So that last one there was no a politicians' protest. But the thing right now, we need to come together for a national issue, a national problem. No, just not. Maybe I'm using the wrong terminology, but I know what I want to say, but already when things overwhelming, that will just come up. We need to come together as a nation.
True.
Each of us program put it there together. So that not throw a little something actually going away. Because what happened in there, I watched civilians that don't have truck on the truckers. When the truckers get out there, guess what? They throw them under the bus. They say, not us. Not common sense too, but for all you. For your cause, and then after you go home. And from that time, I said, you see, these things there, when they do come under general heading, something that everybody feeling passionate about, it doesn't really make any sense. Because we have to unite under some particular purpose. One thing, that's not my last point. One thing that is for sure, the way the people downtrodden on the elderly, young people are calling only to come and defend your grandmother and your grandaunt. It is not your own. But if the police can do these things there to grown up people, what going to come next? what's going to be the next step? Every time they test us and we submit, and they getting worse, and they getting worse. But it's our generation that dormant and silent, and that is the generation we need to wake up now. We need to take that thing in hand and steer our ship in the right direction.
Yeah, brother, you were saying that there, but then you see how they touch on the police there, I can say something. You ask yourself what cause the police is doing that, because to me the police mostly is to protect
But to do who?
the citizens.
But they're doing that there.
It's to the citizens, but yes, so now I say, so that's why I'm asking, at what cost is there a benefit to a man or to a benefit to the state? Because what we see is a benefit to a man.
But you know,
No.
Benny, hold on. You know, I still feel like a lot of what happened in around us, my brother, is because of lack of coordination, lack of communication, and them things. Because the police and them, with all what happening, they're going through the same ministry. All of us going through. You check?
Everybody called selfish.
Voila. So that is what that is why I said I was coming to tell you now. At the end of the day, in my perspective of things and how I looking at it, is that them both political parties is our problem. That division, that whole segregation, that victimization story. Rather, the country, like as if the way I seeing it, like we blinded, you check. But all of us, when you look at the population, at we the people, that not in authority, nothing. But all of us going through the same issues, you check, and no solution to the problem. Well, when I mean no solution by this current administration. They need for their benefit and not for the benefit of the country as a whole, as we as a people, as a Dominica, as a nation. So to me, and I looking at that, I checking like, why we supposed to come together and just brush them two party on our side and allow Dominica to breathe.
No, but we are telling people just the stand on, man. You see, the real thing is them. Like they have a 42 equip. Because it's equip because it's like a coin. It has a head side and a tail side. None cannot exist without the other. It's like a yin and yang. You try to tell you, they be able to step down. And the suppressed generation. That's a friend we getting. I don't have to say old. Age coming on us.
Yeah, man, time passing.
At what point we going to feel like, okay, time for us to make our contribution before our life over? At what point we going to think
Well, I
about that?
believe that is what it is we doing right now. But because you see, as much as we might oppose what happening to us, I think that if we look at it carefully, you can call it. Some people might call it God. Some people might call it fate. Some people might call it destiny. Some people might call it whatever you want. But I feel that something's taking us in the right direction. You know why? Because don't he say something there about the people that were picked up and so on, and they were told like to stay away from any political.
Yeah,
You know what? So
I see that on our life.
right there you have, you know. But I believe as well that the political frame that we're looking at our problems through is a big part of the problem. So if we step away, because while we're looking at the issue for political lens, we're looking at who going to have power to implement change. We're still not looking at ourselves as the vehicle for change.
But that's what they come
So
to say. If
when we
we,
take
the change can only come from us.
exactly, so when we take it out of the whole political frame,
The partisan political
let me tell you
business.
something. While we there being instruments for power for politicians and for political gain, you know what happening to us? They talk about our rights to assemble and our rights to. But one of the rights we have to is our right to, you know, to our dignity, to a dignified life, and the only way we can
Yeah.
have those things
You
is
have
by
a right to
having
your conscience,
our labor rights. You understand? in Dominica, we understand that our rights are secured by our economic means. That is how it is, brother. It's been like that from colonial times, and it still hasn't changed because of the same things that we have evolved to review our constitution so that those things are
True,
the
true,
fundamentals for the state, for our evolution.
true, true.
So our evolution, our security is pinned on our economic means. And so when we agree to live in a country that doesn't secure any economic means for us to earn $30,000 a year as a bare minimum.
So
Maybe
pass money,
to
everybody.
be, but that's what I say, as a bare minimum.
$2,000 a year.
$30,000 a year is nothing, my brother. You check me? So when you have people who cannot secure their rights by virtue of lack of economic means, then you will keep them, and you will have no fear of them taking you to the court or taking any kind of redress against you.
But I don't.
No, you know what? Further than that, don't see a lot of that abuse we talk about it, like when the workers, the people, the greatest insecurity that people outside they're facing, why they fear to come outside, why they fear to stand up, is the loss of their job security.
But listen to that.
Is their loss of their economic means.
And I gotta say that because that is the slavery on us.
Exactly.
So the people are doing what they're doing. They're only doing the implementing on us, because the architect of that thing, they're way beyond and further, because they is implementers. And then it has a certain portion of us now. We are, I don't tell you the exact correct amount to use there. It's like saying Séwyè, but it have a more politically correct term.
Facilitators.
Facilitators, but facilitator is one, you check. But because of our commitment and our cheering and everything you list, because I talk to people, everything people will list that will make them accept that is implemented by the same system. You try to tell you?
Yeah.
So therefore now, when you look at the cause, you can basically say the shit that going on them. Because the way I started when I talking about when the bus drivers get their way, when the truck drivers get their way and they walk away, you try to tell them because everybody cause selfish. So when you're going to choose a cause that is for everybody, you try to tell you because for example, within the lad, you watch all around, you seen some people that was against and they become for. You know, because if I tell you, go, listen to people, everybody have an issue, like a problem.
True.
And to them, the salvation is them people there, which is madness.
Yeah.
Then they create no problem, and then you want them to solve it for you, and then you feel like there's a hero. 25 years in a country, and presently the country, the supporters of the administration, they clap in when the people announce, and they announce their failed governance. After 25 years, if somebody cannot rent their own place, get their own job, fend for their family, buy their mothers on Mother's Day. You see what this Dominica become Mother's Day, parrot thing, and everybody come and parrot and set up macacui. Set up macacui.
And the society itself not
Carnival and Creole independence celebration. That become a parrot thing. All the action people, everybody go in. We don't like the government, but we can support the action in the gardens, Ministry of this, Ministry of that, the parade there, everything have somebody face on it. Yeah, that is madness, my brother. You don't hijack what we used to call our culture.
And the society not even
that
there.
what we hijack our culture. Carnival is a cultural thing.
True.
And independence, right now government hijack that have drones in the sky and taking pictures of people in there well dressed and posting on social media.
And see the thing,
that Dominica, okay.
But see the thing, don't you?
We the people, the downtrodden, we are the ones fickling the crowd, Imagine that,
One second, right? You say something there, and I was that thing I wanted to comment on a while. And it's about the carnival. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and because he was asking me about the carnival. And one of the things that I observe about carnival is that our traditional aspect of our carnival is totally gone. You have no more traditional dancing. They used to have them thing in carnival city. The man used to go and watch people do heel and toe and quadrille and all them different things there. And them thing there, right now you don't see that nowhere. So the traditional dance, but the music itself, like vocabulary competition, that died. We no longer have like vocabulary competition. We used to go well, many years I remember, so you know the vibe. Man used to go all market plaza, like vocabulary competition, and die. You check, just see it, they don't even have like vocabulary bands again. Really, and truly. One, two, here and there.
Yeah, because what I was saying there, sure, because them I know everything, so have that public competition, practice, wedding,
You
all them
check me.
things is one.
Yeah, them culture
But
there, the mask.
you see, so then the question I like to ask on them things, who help them things to come that way? Is the people that get in position because that system that's come there, they come in that there. So if you have the people in position helping these people to kill the culture, we can't just blame this system. We have to blame the people that hold the positions. You understand?
Yeah, because when you look at it, the way they project in the Dominica is like we are global society, we in the globalization, but they don't realize it now. In the whole thing of globalization, it have aspects of it that you have to protect. You check me? And our traditions and our culture is part of them things that should be protected. You check? So yes, we cannot just expose ourselves to the outside world and say, well, yeah, you know, we in the tourism and we in the vibes. But when a tourist comes in here, is to see what's authentic about here and to experience what that's authentic about here. But when everything is just one global community and it's the same thing you go Lucia, it's the same thing you go SM, it's the same Vince, all them places in the same carnival of just flower and feathers and then thing, the same type of outfit, same type of costume. Nothing. Whereas before the costume, them thing was made locally. Most of them thing was done locally. The whole creative aspect of it, and I feel like as if right now to me, carnival lost that.
But right, not just carnival culture and something like that. Is some people might never think before that system. In another place we used to call our house of culture. We didn't ever hear about that.
That was my instruction for how
We
much
never hear about that. So we are the people in charge, DSC and this. We never hear them people speaking about what happening on that.
No substitute for that.
Youth, man, that's why I used to go and see all plays, my boy. Go inside and sit down and see all plays. That's what culture used to take that, my boy. All different cultures, my boy. You understand? So when you have a system that's against your own culture, my boy, these people is against us. These people is against us. I don't know what language we have to say to let people understand. And brother, you are saying something that keep us, something that borders us and that keep us. Already seen us some years ago in our country, unity is one of our biggest challenges.
True.
It's our division now, but where we are here today,
but brother.
Yes.
Division, brother. As I was saying, that government telling that government that do good, that one saying that do good. Take for instance, you have blue, you have red, you have whatever color, but that one complaining that color is good. But if it was united, my boy, we know what is good, we know what is bad. When a system tell you they're going to do this, and next time they come in promise, they tell you when you vote them again, my God, that is against you. There's no choice to leave other people is to vote these people out. If we was doing that from day one, we would not be there in that problem we are there today. But we stay loyal to political party for the country, our greed get over us. You understand me? So we know all what it is about. So that is where now it left for us. What we can bring to the people that can unite the people. You understand me?
True.
What we can bring to the people that will unite the people. Let the people know for too long what we have been supporting is against us, is not for us. We have to let them see it, we have to show it to them, whatever we have to do to
bring it to them. Like, okay, I would say, for instance, people say too much talking, but my boy, you see this speaking, it is very, very, very
Yeah, man, they
important.
cannot stop.
Because sometimes too much, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, the people might reflect on them same words and them same talking might be talking there to react, to get themselves together. We never know. No, what I say in flag is like, for all these years, we know this system is against us. We know this system is not for us. But yet still, the system uses ways which we know. Money is one of the key things they use to manipulate the people, to get the people to see the right things as wrong and see the wrong things as right. Money does go a lot flacker, we know that. But as people that willing to see right and willing to make sure the people understand what this opportunity is wrong, we have to bring something to them to let them understand, hey, for too long, it will take, you might think it might take too long when you might think just going rapid, but the talking, my boy, it is very important today and tomorrow. Because I tell that taco, people I used to see, I used to support this system so hard. The things that they tell me when they make me in the public. That's why there's freezing, I doesn't have no words to say, I just listening.
But Rastafari, if I quote and say a little thing there, let's take a little focus on what's going on. So last week they had the thing week before. Anyway, the parliament. No, they had the parliament bill to pass. The parliament, the vote, or they call it the second reading, they call it. They have all the kind of name to make your mind go basic. Anyway, they come for electoral reform. So here what happening there, we have one independent candidate, 2 independent candidates, and one. We have the deputy leader of the political party. Let's call it the Freedom Party, kind of like dormant in their sense, although they can have a collusion with them. But we have the deputy leader of United Workers' Party in Parliament. We have a Labour Party with their majority in Parliament. And we have a unanimous vote on the bill. At the same time, we have the support of the United Workers' Party outside protesting against the bill. Just take a time and look at the chaos we're talking about. Because it doesn't have a focus. Because your deputy leader saying yes, and then you just saying, but you're not in that. What that means? So your deputy leader siding with the government, what exactly that means? Because we talk about division and left and right, blue and red, but like you look some blue turn red, like red.
It's pure division for us.
What that Rastafari? I can't understand what's going on.
All that is division within itself.
We have to understand the chaos.
Because
but that'll happen. You know, I listen to Mr. Anthony Charles, the representative of Marigot, in his speech. I was quite disappointed. I don't want to listen to the workers' fella, Mr. Konatis, Mr. Lai, Mr. Psychopath, Mr. Who's the Prime Minister, on all forms, because the Prime Minister again treated us. He come as a nice young boy saying all kind of good things for the country. He turned to a beast now. Because all he seen is money and his way that he see now. But you see the Paris fella, you see the Paris guy, the Paris fella, Mr. come live. Mr. get a platform from Anthony. Don't take a few months, a year. Mr. just ready to cut Anthony for and take his position. Like live, you know. Man don't do things in secret. Man don't hate people in secret. But like, you know, live. Because he want to be the leader of workers. He want to be the leader of workers. Okay, fine. So he undermining the man that bring the platform. Because remember, Anthony was there when Marigot and Dominica did a hero. Some of us that right there, we was there. Some of us didn't understand. We make up all demons in our mind, say who pay who to all the nonsense, and we fine. But when Marigot people did a hero, when some people did a hero, Jesma was there. Anthony was there.
True.
and to just like give that fella in Portsmouth. I know that you all do know.
Sean Douglas.
All them political vipers, them people there like
Sean
them people there
Douglas.
is just fight.
Sean Douglas.
Just like give Sean Douglas.
Senator.
She give him a platform. What do you think to do? Don't try to forget, you know. You got to fire him. Let all the people, the chaos. We must step out to that chaos because the people don't have a direction. Ni labor, ni workers, that whole political thing that need to crumble down because that doesn't make them suffer. And we don't think of where in redemption. Look at it. Watch left, watch right. These same people are there. These same wicked people are the opportunists. Trying to say
We just stick to the
no,
we
man,
stick
no,
to
brother.
the rock and a hard place.
But
And we, as Dominicans, have to come together and just agree. We fight for the people.
We stop with a rock and a hard place. But a fraud come in.
True.
But you know, no escape. But what kind of matter is that we need to put our sense in our head. We need to educate ourselves and know what it is. We need to take back our trust from them political parties and them politicians. Okay, don't trust me.
But we need a rebalance of power.
Fine, don't trust me too. Because I on a political platform, I know in my heart I aspire to do.
Oui.
But what I can do is give people of Rosenhoff a better choice. Because I watch left and I watch right. If you choose the better than me, no problem. You might choose their party and the experience. You can choose any kind of thing in it. But just remember that the day they have no experience, it had the fellow young man was there on the mic. We cannot go on YouTube there. We don't think we'll consult on of all you, we'll talk to everybody and everybody idea and we'll go to get the word. And right now what I say goes. But at what point are we going to stop being stupid? At what point are we going to stop people fool us and continue to fool us? I listen to the leader of the country speak to the people in Calibishi. I was so ashamed, man. And everybody apologized like they sick. You know how much times the Prime Minister say in Calibishi, well, fast enough, follow down the school, follow ready to follow the line. We can bring it to T-Board in the school, or we can bring it to... Well, the fellas forget, man. But what kind of a sickness are they, my brother? What kind of a disrespect are they? I can't take them kind of thing there. Because when you disrespect, to come and respect is in. And then people that you respect line is they follow to that already, you know. They fall low. If you respect them people, there's something wrong with you mentally. Because they disrespect him. Everybody, publicly in Dominica. I listened to the Prime Minister when he was going outside there to look for money. And all he used to utter in this big platforms he got. Dominicans are resilient people. There's good people. And they sat down on the front line on climate change, talk all his nonsense to get his dollar. When he get the dollar to come to implement things in the country from the same world he come to, he come and he say, Dominicans have nothing. They cannot work. But what is... I can't talk again because I don't know how people see, don't see nothing. But kind of a sickness. No, it upsets him.
I don't believe people do see it.
I just try not to keep away from the reasoning, you know. But the passion is coming me, my brother, and I just try to continue.
No, you're right, Tino. You're right. About what you say.
We just put our hand. We're not idiot. Yes, me. Yes, I stupid. Yes, me.
But you see, we have to take things in a way and be more responsible and be basically how you just say it. We have to be the bigger ones then. Because we see the nonsense. Okay? And if we don't keep the mind calm enough to be able to provide that avenue, we have to stay focused and we have to be able to provide that leadership and that level of content.
Yeah, because
we have to be able to provide that avenue, my brother. And I believe as I'm going to do it, I believe that.
Right.
I just see it.
So before you say anything, you saw one thing was done.
Yeah, emotional because he's feeling
so
it.
that's why I say
We're feeling it. We're feeling it, you know.
Bring to the people for them to get. It's all don't they get in there. What we can bring to
No.
the people for them to get like that.
What we can bring to them is a new way forward.
But it is
Because it's just like it's a thing I keep saying. When we went around the country, everybody we spoke to was one response. What is the way forward? Show us the way forward. That was what people was concerned about it. Show us a new way forward. That is why I check in. So me, you see them both political parties. I mean, both of them. Huh? No. Both of them, right? They are the two major parties. But at the end of the day, both of them on the wrong trajectory. You check. So we need the third wheel to bring back that level of balance and that level of country and that level of we as Dominicans. We check that level of focus, perspective, that level of
Hope.
yeah man, hope and foresight and everything. Check. And the only way we can do that is by remaining in control. We check, we have to stay focused on the mission. So, like you say, we need to put it down and then take it to the people. And I believe it will take time because it's not an easy road, it's not a thing that's going to come overnight. But it's going to take some work, and if we put in the work, I definitely believe that we can go for it. Because it's just like with them protests, people say straight up, they're not interested in protesting. Yet still, one party is still bringing protests. Right? Yeah, I mean, like everything else, you always have a certain set and it's showing you a small set.
Well,
No.
from my
Yeah, you know what, for me, I think we should focus on creating a vision forward and that emotion and that vibes from Dante there. Yes, let us push it forward in a vision, my brother. Take the emotion and let us create something that all of us can stand with and stand on. You check me. That's why sometimes I just like constantly going over the problem. It's part of the problem. You check. So it's like we already analyze the problem. Okay, now it's time for the solution. You check. We spend years analyzing the problem. Years. Let us provide the option. Let us start working on providing that option on saying, yes, that is the Dominica we want to create. That is the Dominica that we feel that anybody that living in Dominica, anybody that is a Dominican can and should be able to participate in what is Dominica. You check me, and wouldn't have to look over their shoulder and check like what their opinion going to offend that person in such a way that that person going to feel like as if they want to end their existence. So because you working for me or I working for you, like I supposed to still be entitled to my opinion. You check.
I think we need to be greater stakeholders in our own development. We need to be the
You're right.
stakeholders.
You're right
Check me.
about that.
Because you see,
You're right about that.
being the stakeholders mean that there will be a connection between because to me, without that linkage between being a stakeholder and the politics, it don't make sense to even participate in the politics. You check I telling you. Because to me, if there is no real interest in policy, and it's just a matter of just, and it's just a matter of just buying, buying votes or then to me, I find, it defeating the purpose. We have to be the stakeholders in our own development. So this discussion have to be about, the discussion then was in the 70s was about, workers' rights. And to me, this very thing is what it coming back down to. Bread and butter issues.
Actually, it's more than just workers' rights. Right now, it surpasses workers' rights.
Yeah, it surpassed that.
If you look at it, you're not even working.
Exactly.
And you're still getting blast on, my brother. Huh? You're at your home and just your opinion of, say, boy, that individual say, you're at your home and you decide, boy, you don't want to support them, man, that Labour Party.
Yeah.
Rather, a man go and carry your name and say, well, yes, Flacco say this and Flacco say that, and we shouldn't help Flacco on no level, and that kind of a level of victimization and them things,
you
yeah,
even going, you even,
and them things is what existed.
you even bringing it to
That itself even worse.
to even more grave realization.
Yes,
Because Valerie said a thing the other day there, and I don't even think plenty of people understand what it is. You check me? Mia Motley respond to that whole thing there, you know, with the request for RSS and thing. And she was talking about the acknowledgement of our laws and thing. Do she acknowledge, you know, that we have our constitutional rights and so on, but it speaks to our evolution, or rather our stagnation, that we haven't evolved in any way, shape, or form since, you know, our independence.
true.
You check I saying? So things like, for example,
Evolving, you know, but it hasn't been documented. Well, in terms of it hasn't been, like you said, reflected.
in terms
It
of
hasn't been reflected in our
yeah,
organizational structure.
in terms of the commissioner's statement or the acting commissioner's statement, he's right to say that, because in other societies they have abolished the death penalty. You were saying that your rights in Dominica, your rights are not absolute, and I was saying, you know, if I have a right to life, how is that not absolute? How can you say that my right to life is? Basically, he says that in Dominica, your rights are not guaranteed. In plain English, that means that your rights can be taken away at any time. You don't have rights, basically. If you
And
have,
watch that, that is
so
coming from a man.
no, but you see,
Hold on a second,
hold
Flacco.
on. You have to
Because I have to
understand
put a,
that the people have to understand the statement and
yes,
what it means. Because when the man says that, he's speaking to the how many years we've been independent now? The 46, 47 years that we've been independent, that
46.
we've been incapable of looking at the laws, because our laws need to evolve. Look at the other day, we had the constitutional challenge of the Bogri laws, which the High Court strike out the Bogri laws, right? And we so incapable of understanding how the thing working that we're ready to burn our own constitution because it guaranteeing the rights of other people. You check? So when the man make a statement like that, he right, but we not look at, for example, they had a few people on what charges? Incitement charges. Some of these charges, you know what the penalty for some of those charges carry? The death penalty, brother. And those things there are still on our books. You understand? So when Mia Motley said that, though she respects our constitution, but we are a society that is governed by laws. And because we don't have access to our rights, we don't exercise our rights by virtue of our lack of economic means, then basically we have been brought into a position, we have been cultivated into a position of basically powerlessness, because we haven't exercised, a lot of us haven't. Look at it, it's like since the 70s, after the last time that we had a trade unionist actually bringing people together, because that's what the currently, that is what the current trade unionist, Thomas Later, that's what he says, that, you know, that Dominicans have a tendency to use the union to, you know, to remove governments,
yeah, that's only open one.
you know. But then since that era, all of those tools have been hidden away from the people. The tools of trade unionism have been watered down and hidden away. Okay? The tools of strike action, right? The tools of the Constitution and civic education in school, all those things have been hidden away for all that time. Now we need a revival of that.
Yeah,
And while people may not be,
but I think,
you know,
to interrupt you, Fluff, I think it's more than just a revival. I think
yeah, a
we need
revolution, brother.
yes, it is a revolution.
Because
We need a revolution,
yeah,
but within the revolution itself, we need a restructuring of our political system.
of course,
And too much power is given to our representatives. That power needs to be redistributed
yeah.
amongst the different institutions and amongst the society.
But for that
itself.
shift of power to happen in a peaceful way, the people have to be informed and be part of the change.
Definitely,
You
the
cannot force change on people.
No,
you know.
let me tell you that the change is the people, you know. So without the
And
people realizing,
if the people are not enlightened and knowledgeable about the change that's happening, they're going to resist it, even if it's in their benefit. So the education that we do in there,
that's why they, like Penny tell you earlier, you cannot stop talking.
yeah,
You can never stop talking. So the people have to understand.
of course they
how
must.
the entire thing working, you know, how they fitting in the entire.
Yes.
We, not even the people, all of us.
Yeah.
Okay? All of us need to understand how we working together. Okay?
Right.
And we need to understand also that there will be dispute, there will be disagreement, there will be all kind of things.
Of course.
But we need to manage it as a people and in a way that it can benefit, that all of us can come out in a how should I put it? In a good way.
Yeah.
Not that some may lose or some have to give. No.
Yeah.
All of us supposed to be able to
You
give.
see, before
one
you
last thing. One of the fundamental things that people really, that we as a society need to understand is that a government is supposed to function in good faith. The laws supposed to be applied in good faith. If we pass in laws in a democracy, that we say we are a democracy, and we're doing it for us as a people, is that it has to be done in good faith.
Yeah.
You check me? And not in the faith of say like how it is presently being done in the advancement of partisan politics, or in the advancement of trying to gain some type of power angle that you trying to gain an advantage on the society. No, it has to be done in good faith, and people, and we as a society need to recognize when things have been done in good faith. That is why, so we need to look at it as one of the things. Our educational system needs a total revamp, and like you say, it's a revolution, and the revolution has to start in the mind, right? And that is just how it has to go. So I see.
You say not there, one and a half pie. You say not there, it must be done in good faith.
Yeah, man.
But thinking of it pie, that's the only way your country going to progress, you know.
True, definitely.
But whoever put it that way is based on country and people, you know.
True.
If it's not done in a good faith, if people going to suffer, the country going to suffer, you know.
Definitely. And we see not right now. Because it's not been done.
I don't see more pie. We see.
But you know, I think I always say, and people kind of on what to say, they on even on it, like they don't show because they don't really get where I'm coming from. When I ask the question, what the administration doing? It is wrong. We sure it is wrong. We feel the burden of it. We know it evil. We feel what it's doing to us. Yeah. Nothing of good stature of God does not divide people and have people like no say that doesn't exist.
True.
With that being said, if we want people to do things in good faith. Why we do make the law direct you directly into good faith? And if you're not in good faith, the law going to expose you. Because we can put in laws, moral laws, that will take us in a direction of good faith and goodness. But we have to start there. We can expect a man to have laws in all kind of a back door and all kind of window to go through, and expect us to ask him to operate in good faith. Well, my brother, well, keep on living in
No, but don't say.
wonderland.
Don't say.
I do see that we have
Don't
to
say.
institute laws that will request of the people, entrusted by the people, to operate for the people.
Yes,
But
understand that.
and I think there we need to go.
When you're doing it, it's still in good faith. You have to do it in good faith. Is doing it, okay, yes. You go and pass the law. Huh? The whole intention of passing the law is to have some level of good behavior, good character, is to be able to have that level of direction, give people understanding, and then things, So you have to do it in good faith, but it might have aspects to it that as time going by, like how our constitution has not kept up with the evolution of our society. So as the situation changing, before back in the 70s when we had the constitution, they never had no computer, they never had no internet, they never had no nothing. But the society evolving. So the situation is going to change, in certain aspects of it going to change, and you have to be able to allow the society to grow into them changes that they can see those changes and even change the laws to deal with those changes. Now, we never modified our constitution. We have had two constitutional reviews, one done in the 1983, one done in 1996 to 7, 97. About none of the recommendations has never been implemented by none of the existing political parties that commission those political constitutional reviews. And one of the aspects is because the constitutional reviews was granting more power to the masses. Again, redistribution of the power within the society. That was one of the things with the constitutional reviews. That is why you find none of the politicians never implemented none of them things. Under Eugenia Charles, Mary Eugenia Charles, Dame Eugenia Charles, she did a constitutional review 1983. She never implemented none of the changes. Edison James did one 1996, 97. About he never implemented none of the constitutional recommendations, because at the end of the day, all of it is a redistribution of power. As the society evolves, the laws should evolve to reflect that evolution of the society. And these politicians, they resisted that because it takes away from them.
But you asking them to close the back door they usually.
Yes, so
You
now,
ask them to close the back door
so
they
now
usually.
we, as the we now coming in, and that is why I just believe now, we now coming in. Part of the way forward is to provide that redistribution of power and make people see, yo, I trust my brother, man. I trust my fellow Dominican. You check? And let's go forward as a unit. You check me? Let's build a country for real. Not that thing about man that's interested about building himself and just about their greed and being able to stay in power and this level of control.
I think what happened is that
The phone you're supposed to be charging there?
Yeah, but I didn't plug it properly when I unplugged it. You can continue talking in.
yeah, we tend to focus on the politicians, okay? while the politicians and politics have a big part to play with it.
Okay, we will fix up the camera in a minute. So continue.
While we the politicians
audio.
while the
Yeah, the audio,
politicians
okay.
have a big part to play in it, I also think that the trade unions have equal responsibility. And I'll tell you why. When you have an ecosystem, to me, I believe in that ecosystem, you have certain certain creatures that keeping other creatures in check, their populations and their, you know. So in that same way, I believe that the trade unions have that responsibility to ensure that they fight to protect that power of their members, because that was the vehicle that was used to create the change that they wanted back in the 70s. And like I say, after that, it's like as if we don't hear anything about that anymore. But then right now, at this very moment, we have the largest employer in Dominica, which is the government. You know, having a program, a national employment program, basically violating the labor laws against its own people and against its own citizens. Not only there, you have within the statutory corporations, you have again violation of labor laws. And all of these things, they are swept under the carpet, not focusing on the fact that those things there impacting a person's ability to access their rights and what is due to them. We talking about the law. There are labor laws, you know. There is a law that says that any employer that withholds an employee's salary after 30 days is liable to a fine of $500, you know, or 6 months conviction in 6 months and 6 months prison. But how often do we hear those laws being used to shape the behavior of those in authority, of those not just in authority, but those with responsibility? Because I believe authority assumes responsibility. I like people that have authority, because whenever you're looking and you're asking yourself the question, but who's responsible for that? Those who have authority are the ones that have the responsibility to be pruning, to be ensuring that our wages can keep up with inflation and that our ability to access our rights in the court remains within our reach. So by the trade unionists derelicting their duty, they have effectively diminished our ability to defend ourselves against the abuses that are going on. Not only that, but the individual worker is tied, his hands are tied by virtue of what they call a collective bargaining agreement, which once you are employed within a statutory corporation or you know, basically you cannot negotiate on your own behalf. You have a bargaining agency that will deal with your grievances and speak on your behalf. You understand? So they tie your hands and then they sit there and they do nothing on your behalf. You understand, brother? So we need to wake up the workers to realize that it's not only the politicians that's sitting there month after month getting paid and doing absolutely nothing. I've told Thomas later that to his face that you will never sit in the seat of the president because he doesn't have the courage of Charles Séwyè. At the time,
But now, Charles Séwyè now, them man is working. Them man had a vision, them man had a drive, them man had a vibe. It's just like you say, he didn't have that vision. But Charles Séwyè is working together with Mamu and so on. They have the objectives.
yes.
You check presently, just like we see, like what is the objective of those people?
But
What is
his
the
intention at the time was corrupt still.
yes, yes,
Because he set the stage for what we have right now, where people like Thomas Later can stand on the soapbox and say that Dominicans have a tendency to use the union to remove governments.
yeah, but no, what footing does that statement even have when that only happened once in our history, right? And we have had how many governments prior to that, right? And Charles Séwyè, let me Charles Séwyè, what him name? Thomas Later, right? Thomas Later is part of the issue because Thomas Later does not function in the manner he's supposed to be functioning. He does not represent the interests of the working class of Dominica. He does not. He represents his own selfish interests, like a lot of them other people. The government in itself, the ministers within themselves, who they representing? They representing their own selfish interests. They put Dominica under what? Globalization. See that we have an airport building. Huh? We have an airport building. It have the vast majority of people in the charging. The vast majority of people that work in there is who? Huh? Foreigner, Chinese. When you're telling me we living in a country with high unemployment, over 50% of the youth unemployed in Dominica. Huh? You can understand why is their name Claire Harbour must cut down their staff by 70% or something like that. I don't know how true that is.
Man, I feel go on now.
That is just madness. So you're telling me that is from 1,400 people. Um,
But you see,
so people won't work. I just look at myself. Huh? Of course. And you're telling me we have an airport building, we have school building, for Woodville, grammar school. It's like we building it, what all them things is for who the money and I realize too part of the issue is that the government feel that they are not being funded by us.
but then
Who they been
they
funded
tell you,
by?
they tell you that straight up.
They are not
Look,
being funded.
why then?
It's not
Why then would the prime minister make a statement that he's going to remove income tax? Right? How if you remove income tax, how are you going to run your government?
yeah, the CBI funding is one.
So
Uh,
so you see, the people don't even understand where their place is in the whole equation.
If you
Because
look at
if you have a man telling you that over the past 25 years, he has been unable to grow the income tax base, that means to say he has been able to get more of the population within the bracket of earning $30,000 a year, which is a minimum.
it's so long
Because,
ago.
like you say, $30,000 a year is nothing.
hmm,
The other day, I hear a young man talking about over 2 years, he wants to see if he can save up $10,000, which is ambitious. But he earning $800 a month. You should guys saying? No, when we sit down and we listen to our representatives admit that they have been unable to grow the income tax base, they basically saying that they have been able to increase their income generation, their revenue generation way. Because the more people you have within the income tax revenue bracket, you know, that income tax base, then the more revenue you earn. It's in your best interest to have more people earning $30,000 a year and upwards. But then instead of doing that, you know what you say? You're going to remove income tax. So that means now majority of the people that earning 100,000, 200,000 and upwards a year will no longer be paying income tax. But then you're going to increase the VAT by what? Increase it to 17%. So you're going to make it tax free for those of us that making the most money, and you're going to increase tax on everybody that not making money. And when we hear those conversations going on, because we're not informed, it's like they talking, but they talking Greek, like to the common man. That's how it does be. You check? When our Attorney General telling us that majority of Dominicans do not pay tax, when he damn well know that everybody paying VAT, he's really telling you that he does not consider VAT a tax. He considers VAT as just a minimal contribution, and unless you pay income tax, you're not paying tax, so you should just shut your mouth.
Yeah, because for them,
Petty cash you pay in.
CBI bringing in over 60% of government budget is run by CBI.
So that is why they can be so disrespectful to us. Because we do not demand participation in our own economic destiny, in our own economic development. We have outsourced our economic development. That's why it can look good on paper and we're not feeling none of the benefits. Because we are not the ones earning that money, we are not the ones generating that revenue, and for it to continue to make a multiplier effect in our communities, we're not touching that money. That money is just on paper. So that is why it's even more, because the Constitution tells you that, that the means of production shall be used to derive equal or equitable benefits for all the people. So I never sell passport. I don't know if I ever feel the effect of, but to me, we do have access to, to passport money and things. One set of people will check me. So clearly, that is not what was intended by the Constitution. You check me, it's better. We are planting banana. Everybody have the equal opportunity to plant their field and we was living better like that. But then to let go of that and to become a consumer economy, a consumer society where we basically just sell our time, sell our labor, just to go and consume cheap goods and services to go back and work for that same money. It's like on a repetitive cycle. And we produce nothing.
But let me ask you a question. The CBI, that is why that discussion I don't really like to really kind of participate in it, because what have the CBI done? The CBI has created imagination in the minds of the citizens of Dominica that government have a funding other than the funding we put in the funding we give them, which is imagination. Because if you listen to the explanation of the CBI to the people of Dominica, and I like to go back on that. CBI is used to repay loans taken from MMC, basically, with our major developing agency in Dominica. So MMC will fund the money. They will build all that them just know that is all the health centers, all the apartments, even the international airport is a CBI based on what they say to us. We have to hold these people to their word. The CBI, MMC fronts the money and the CBI used to repay them. All that have done is creating people's mind that the government have an alternative stream of revenue other than taxation, which is an imagination. That's all what it have done. Because CBI, it's not secure. It can die tomorrow. So why would you base anything on something that don't have a lifespan? Okay? No. If you create that imagination in your mind talking about CBI and who have CBI money, that means to say that the loans we have there, when CBI fall, who can pay it? No, the loan we take in and CBI is to pay back for now. The revenue that made from that made by foreigners. But just in case passport fall, because that is the narrative, you know. Just in case passport fall, passport sales fall, which is looking like it doom and gloom. But just in case it falls, how does the government repay the people they have quote unquote told us that they are taking loans, the security and repayment is CBI? So that is why when you see we keep on discussing CBI, it enforcing that imagination that government have an alternative stream of revenue other than taxation. And guess what? Since the end of 24 going to 2025, all the government is focused on is trying to get money from the citizens. So basically, we show the CBI have already for a long time. We take a loan. I don't want to say sometime last year, $41 million to road enhancement project. I think if we work in Asia, maybe on the second or third loan. The government take on that topic. With how much months later? Almost a year later.
Anyway, we're back on stream.
What happened to that money?
The man smoked that.
But let us be real. What happened to that money? Okay. The World Bank project, the HRP project, it's a total loss sum of let's say about 110 million EC dollars, quote unquote. Pat loan bank we had about that amount of money. I made the contract there for everybody for public knowledge. You can read it. So let's say about 43 million US dollars, equating to about let's say about 100, 105, 110, that kind of category. They build houses amounting to about, when you look at it and you're in the office, which I don't have everything on, but so about 40-something million EC dollars, 50-something million EC dollars. We had a press conference when they say they already spent 79 million EC dollars. The HRP. Because when this is going on, we have to always listen. We just be there for the good time. You know, free this house there, free this, free this, that. But then this is what is really going on. So they say they spend 73 million EC dollars. You can calculate the houses and bill. I just wonder why people just think like who we talking to. The 420 houses that would have been built under the HRV program based on a price which is about 140,000 EC dollars per house will equal to 56, 58, okay, let's say 60.
How many houses?
420.
420.
Right.
By how much?
And 140,000.
140,000. That's 58 million.
58 million.
800,000.
When they receive financing, loan grant of 43 million US dollars.
So more than half the money going
so
to administration.
When the program reached about almost 200, the houses were being built at 125,000 maximum. So I inflate the entire cost of all the houses. Okay? By 15,000, about 180 to 200. By 15,000. Then in the last lab, then the last set of scrap houses, they increase it again to $150,000. Okay? But if you just balance up all the houses at 140, what you lose on the what you inflate on the 125, okay, and what you deflate on the 150, it's add up to around the same amount of money, 58, 59, $60 million. So the other $40 million was what to run the office to do what. But the contract stated how much was for the fundamental part of the project and how much for the actual construction of the project. I mean, it's public knowledge, you know. You can just access it and you can read it. I read it. But when the people in authority always come in and just spit out nonsense like people like talking to is just idiots. So in the entire amount of houses would cost 58 million. At what point you reach 79 million or 73? What the figure they come in their press conference and say they have already spent. At what point you reach that? When you're close to the completion of the 420 houses. Okay, and you can factor in little things, so the houses where you go, the access is a little difficult, so they pay a little extra for help people, and if you want to see difficult access, I mean, a part of the program, if you look at it. So what I just ask myself now to the World Bank now, why the World Bank sitting back there? Because they know the amount of money they provided for the project. They know everything, but they still give the government the authority to make the price of the houses, which is okay. But within the contract stipulation, if you don't use all the money or much more interest and thing and all this kind of thing. You know, that's really just to understand and just wonder. First of all, which government will agree to that? Second of all, which bank will agree to finance you a project where the byproduct of that financing is given away for free? So how are you paying them back?
Exactly what I was telling you.
What is the negotiation you have for the payback?
So when you
But
see,
that is what I was telling you.
when you see, sometimes you see, man, how come we have this there?
Boy,
Why
that
we still
die again.
importing
When's
that?
that now?
How come we have that there and we still importing that? We making that way, and why we still importing that? Why the government?
Rastafari government right now in a situation of using loan to cover loan to cover loan. And we just know we're going to be so deep in that. We don't going to have an idea of where we actually be. Because we need to trace the $41 million loan where exactly it is. Because you cannot take a $41 million loan and let's say, for example, you take it
Give me the
and you
phone,
put it in the airport. When you did the word to the country that the airport is being financed by MMC. So therefore we're going to be owing that $41 million twice. If you take, I don't say it happened, but if you take the $41 million US dollars from the no, but the OAU, the Arabs, we talk about where they get the money. If you take that loan and you take that, you sell it in the airport, or you say you sell it to do something else, then you say you take a loan to do that again. You see, we end up with two loans. Because the $41 million go covering up a loan, like creating an image of a loan, whereas government scraping money to finance the building of the airport. Because up to now, we don't have a sure finger on who financing the airport, you know. But for a long while, government have been scraping money and sending in the airport because money on a meg. And they continue to do it, you know. Presently, we sit down there and they thinking of ways and plans and means and people to attack to try and scrape money from them for their lifeline project, you know. You are telling you, but so you see their popularity and their position leadership. Look at the amount of things they're willing to do to sweep people mind, my brother.
Let me ask a basic question. You see that loan was at 40 million,
41 million
41 million,
US.
what a year ago.
Yeah, well,
Now, before a year ago now, what was our national debt before we take that loan? You know?
boy, nobody know. I try my best to find that and I find all kind of different figures, but it points to something like about 1 million. It pointing to more than that. I wonder if the money we're talking about is inclusive of what we owe in the European Union, what we owe in the World Bank, what we owe in the IMF, what we owe in the Americans, what we owe in the Libyans.
camera back on.
That is a trouble already, and looks still like we have trouble now.
I think the country should, as a unit, come together and request from the system, from the administration of the government, exactly what is our position, present, like our reposition. Don't
the public sentiment that will inflame them.
you talk with perspective, your perspective, your perspective. There's someone like you talking
from the government perspective.
Like that.
Because you see, we have to keep the coalition calm at all times. You cannot have people getting into tumultuous and riotous and disturbing the public order.
So we tell them right now that is what we need to find out.
Yes,
we
but
need to know that.
If the people find out the debt to GDP, like what?
Look again, that we don't want to know that. No jet to GDP.
Okay,
nobody can understand what that means. We don't know that. We go in.
Let's say we go
I have a feet on it, and every night I go to sleep, it tormenting me.
let's say
That's what we need to do. We are alone as a country, so it start to torment us. Somebody them come with their nonsense, there's 9 o'clock, jet to GDP. What that means? So in real life, nobody can tell me what that means. Jet to GDP. Terminology, we never even learn that in school. I go to school, I go SME, I go college. Nobody ever explain that it's not bad.
And I agree with you that the debt is wicked. It never fixed debt.
Just tell us what is the figure. Is a figure. I can torment you. Is a figure. 3 million, 8 million, 250 cents. Just one
I agree with you.
for a child to understand.
The debt is wicked.
You know when you get big, you have to fix yourself to be able to think that. Even in school, you can use that. You have to learn when that figure doesn't put the figure on the top of the bus. We have to find a way to make that money to pay whoever we win. Yeah. And that's so many children, that's so many work kids, that's so many everybody. Because when you do that, we're going to continue to let the government impose more and more debt on us. But what kind of a madness is that, my brother? What kind of a sickness that they do? That is a sickness. And we need to put yourself from that. We need to do some Epsom salt and see what the drink that.
It's a ratio.
Still want that experiment. I don't want to do Rastafari.
Just ask you. How are you going to know if you know what to know?
Watch me. But I don't want to know. Don't tell me the figure, Dominica. Don't explain me no text.
Okay. Let me say something on that. Okay. Let me tell you that. It have that the debt, the Dominica's public debt reached 96.49% of the GDP. Hold on, my brother. I can break it down. I can do the math. 96.49% of the GDP in 2023. They say now it decreased from 103.62% in 2022. And the total debt stock was around 659 million US dollars. So, let me give you a direct figure. The total debt stock was around 655 million US dollars.
So divide that up among the population. How much is your person?
So if we say 655 million US, that is, so to bring that into EC, multiply that by 2.7169. That is 1.779 billion EC dollars.
Almost 2 billion.
Yeah.
So how much?
Just call it 1.8 billion.
1.8 billion.
That was a wrong figure. 2 billion, my brother. 2 billion.
You check?
Not easier to understand.
So how much, if you have to divide that among the population, what is each man's share? Each one woman and child. What is your share? Let's say we have what?
65,000 people. That is 27,307. What? But if you miss the wash, Mr. Say 27,000. Everybody in Dominica owing $27,000. Yeah. So all of us have, and them are not giving us work now. We owing $27,000. Mr. Way, Yahweh, Yahweh.
So if you shit, you have to explain.
Yeah.
You take a whole time to explain nonsense.
Nonsense. But yeah,
You don't tell me a little baby, a little 3-year-old, a toddler, 7-year-old, they owe
20, you paratan, man. This part. Huh? When they tell you say pass to court, man. Remember they tell the people used to tell you say pass to court, man. Huh? Brother, before you born, you still in that. Huh? But yeah, that before you born. Before you born. All of us Dominica with 27. All of them with 27,000.
You know, they in the 65,000 liters started there. So you see, I tell you, what if you talk to me like you don't go to nowhere? Because the truth factor of it is the working class. No, look at the working class of Dominica. I know the calculate it now. Look at the citizens, calculate the working class. They that can't afford to pay. And calculate it now.
They can afford to pay.
No,
but you know what I'm telling you? The country. Let me tell you that.
They traveling down on the working class. So they
Okay.
for the working class and they traveling down. You can take what you want. Is the working class they on their shoulders.
Yes, no. But listen to that. You don't make it. Listen to that. So them little children, they don't come in and join the working class. When you're 14 years, you go in school today. Today, all of us used to go to school once upon a time. Huh? But when them man come in power school, I was going working class. When them man come in power school, I was going in school. When them man come,
because she said that you're in school with plus the country there to government matter.
When them man come in power, where you was? Huh? Well, so when we see, no, you have your personal debt. Hold on a second. That is what we're talking about. There is state debt. Hold on a second, my brother. But opportunity must follow you. That is what you don't understand. The other day, when you talk, it's not don't making sense. The other day, yeah, what you said the other day, huh? You yourself that say when we get in loan from those banks and those institutions as a nation, as a state, it's based on your population, based on your country, not true? Yes, but apart from that, yeah, so why is the collateral? No, but the last time is you that give the explanation. So
I was asking the question. So people to ask the question, what exactly is the collateral you put it up? I didn't have an answer. I was asking the question.
Well, you yourself say we didn't will.
Because, for example, at my house, and the collateral for it is the house itself. So the bank have the house, like people imagine the house. The house and the land, the bank have right to it. More than you want to pay off the debt, that is the right, You check, and I talk to my labor, so they can be good at give out an expensive thing about tea and tea and. But different things you can't understand. You don't have money, maybe you have to pay, but that is the simple thing. So the loans come in condition. If you don't pay, they take the house, they take little money.
So all of us owing 27,000. So if all of us owe 27,000, how come all of us cannot be working? all of us cannot be given the opportunity
All of
to
us kind of
work very
figure
well.
the solution because we don't vote him.
Huh?
That is for sure.
Yes, but the money that been taken on our behalf to build the country. Huh? Hold on a second, let me finish what I say. The money that is taken to build the international airport and do a much other thing is on our behalf. You check? It's on our behalf. So when we owe in that money to say whichever or whoever, how comes we not working to pay back that money? How comes we not part of the money? How comes we not part of the money?
Let me ask you a question now because we read our debt to GDP and we try our way to calculate it out in a way of 1.2 billion dollars. I'll just ask you a question.
They provide us a straight figure. So
So I want to ask you a question now.
655 million
When
US dollars.
the airport program was conjured up or what they were going to do,
Conceptualized.
the government, they don't want to even know because the government give 127 million dollars, 500 passports, and the balance of the 1.3, which is the minimum for the excess of 1.3. Let me read that 1.3, the minimum value they give us, we have to spend to be at airport. The balance of the 1.3 million dollars was that including our calculator? Huh? 1.3 million. 1,300 million was the balance so that after we paid the government put down money with the nation and they put down 500 passports or 5,000 passports with the nation. The balance of the 1.3 million. That's not part of the calculation.
No. You know why? Because they're saying that it's our passport that fills the opportunity. They just want that we don't owe you money. That's why I understand what they said, right? That's what they said. They're saying no longer give away money for our passport. See that
Who say that? The Prime Minister see that?
yeah, man.
The Prime Minister see when they launched the airport the second time, he said, if passport says fall, this airport becomes a liability for Mr. Anthony Hayden. Oh, yeah, man. Just the other day, how come no one's asking that? We are all video. He said,
If you watch this now, yeah, for international airport, all of a sudden,
well, I see you trying to catch yourself, so we can go to the that manipulation taking there, it's really manipulating them.
Yeah, because as far as man make us understand straight, we have no feeling there because that's no load of money.
so the man making those
No, you see, the next man front load, if the passport goes there, what he said is if the passport goes there and the front load the money, that if the passport is not selling, it's a liability on which means that the front load already passport bill and airport bill, passport goes there. We still have a problem because it's no problem.
Of course, so we Anthony Hayden got quality money.
So just to
Yeah, I said that
He's a good.
okay, then one question.
Yes,
So
no.
just in case that was said, just don't explain it like that. Like that hold on.
Please, you check me.
Economist